All right, greetings, queens. I'm here with the fabulous daughters of Mtume. Am I pronouncing the last name correctly?
Mtume.
Mtume.
Yeah.
Okay, and we're here to talk about his legacy, your upbringing, and just how bomb it was being in the household with him. So please introduce yourselves.
My name is Ife Mtume.
And I'm Benin Mtume.
Benin Mtume. So could you just give us a background of your childhood growing up in a just in that musical era?
You want to start?
She's the oldest sister. So.
Well, for me, it was just normal. We were always surrounded by music and musicians, but there were some highlights to that. We had the opportunity to grow up with Sly Stone living with us, and just being surrounded by other great artists, Bootsy Collins, and a lot of different people coming through. So we were always surrounded by music.
It's new, like you would come home from school and, Ja Rule might be in the dining room, or Charlie Wilson. I remember when I had my 5th birthday party, Bootsy Collins actually came to my 5th birthday party in a white blouse, white tights, white thigh-high boots, the dark glasses, and a gold chain belt. And I was 5 years old, and all my friends were scared to death. They were like, "What? Who is this?" And he took off his chain belt and gave it to me as a birthday gift. And that's just, like my sister said, Sly Stone living with us. He had, come if they could, try to collaborate and get some of those creative juices going again. And he stayed with us for some months here. But for us as children, I think it was really important for our father to, he wanted us to be grounded and always know who we are, know where we come from. Our family's from South Philly, so we spent all of our, spring breaks and summers and stuff there, in our grandparents' house, in the house that he grew up in. And so, while there was, those highlight moments of you never knew who was going to walk in the door, we were always grounded. We were family first, know who you are, and no matter who walks in this door, no better than you, they're no more important than you are. It was normal. My father was a family man first. And, I don't think a lot of people...
So I didn't mean to cut you off. He definitely was. There's always a child who may bring a little more challenge than others. Come off the road just to handle whatever it was that needed to be tended to with any of us. So no matter what, he was always there for us.
Aww.
So and he brought us along. He wanted us to see what he did for a living. So whether it was being in the studio with him or being on set with him on New York Undercover or going to political rallies and protests, like he brought us along for every bit of the ride.
So I'm glad you said that about the family, like he was very family oriented. What was one of the things that you guys did as a family, your favorite activity together?
Soul Train.
Soul Train?
Every morning we would pile into our parents' bed and we would watch, Soul Train together. That was like a family tradition. Like every weekend, we knew what time you get up, you go get in the bed, and we all laid there and we all watched Soul Train. So that is like a highlight,
Of your childhood.
So, absolutely. That was our Saturday mornings.
And also something that was a staple in our family, our parents were part of the organization that created Kwanza. And so we grew up celebrating that holiday no matter what, and as a family, and it's been passed down through the generations as well as to our extended family. So all of our aunts and uncles and cousins and family friends, every year for Kwanzaa, we used to throw a big, Kwanzaa party before COVID. Our parties were pretty notorious, and so that was one thing that no matter what, we were going to celebrate Kwanzaa together and talk about those principles and what they mean to us as a people and us as a family and how we apply them.
Wow.
So yeah.
It's crazy that you said it. I'm sorry.
I said that was my dad's favorite holiday time of year, like Kwanzaa.
Oh, I'm glad you touched on that because, like, y'all have touched on so many subjects I didn't even have to ask the questions because y'all were like reeling them off. So I'm like, okay, cool. And Kwanza, that's one of them. Like growing up with that dynamic, how was it? Because there was definitely some your peers and people you went to school with were brought up a little differently. So how was that growing up?
You know, one thing I used to always say I would be upset sometimes that I had to share my father with everybody because he was a public figure, and sharing him with our community. And so, you know, when our friends would come over, you know, to play or whatever, it was always a bit of a culture shock. We have African art all over our home. Right. You know, it wasn't the typical household. And and our parents would talk about anything with our friends. And so really was a father to the community overall.
Aww. Now here's an interesting question. With Mtume, he was very eroded, but down to earth and practical. And he said what he meant and meant what he said just by the videos that I watched. Like, you're gonna get the raw and uncut version of him no matter what. It's up to you if you can deal with it. So knowing that, what's the number one lesson you learned in 3 categories growing up? Family, boys, and business.
Oh.
Family, nothing comes first. Nothing comes before family. That is probably the most important thing that we have. That's the one thing we can always rely on and depend on and, you know, lean on when we need to.
Right.
Boys, don't date any man that wears bad shoes.
Yes. You can tell a lot about a man by his shoes.
Okay, I love it.
And what was the last one? Business?
Business.
Was that the last category?
For me, it was, don't ever forget the way you start off is the way you finish.
That's right.
That's a good one. And for me, he used to say, when you're pursuing your career, it's okay to eat a little crap as long as you don't swallow it. Meaning never forget who you are, never compromise your integrity for anybody or anything. And you can achieve any goal that you want just by being yourself.
That's right.
And you don't have to compromise any bit of that.
Man, he was cool. I love it. So what fields, as far as you didn't go into music, but you went into your own field. So tell me what you guys do.
I'm just like super mom. I'm the one who takes care of all the kids. I was a at-home mom for years, married. So my life kind of took a different route, but I also am like super TT. I take all the kids. If you have to go somewhere or need something, all the kids are with TT. So that's my role. And I'm so proud of that. I love it. I adore it.
And I'm a content buyer for a streaming service called Tubi. Mm-hmm. So I buy the television shows and films for that particular show. So I went into the television world after college.
So my research
that was also
correct.
Like, they didn't expect any of us to be what he was. Yeah, he didn't expect any of us to follow in his footsteps in any particular order. He just wanted us to be good at what we chose to do in life and
right. No matter what it is.
There was no pressure. He wanted you to choose your own path. So my next question, did you ever want to try anything in music? Although you chose the path that you chose.
Yes. I did. Like, I really wanted to be a singer. Stop singing. It's like, what are you? My dad, he was like, what are you, tone deaf? And I was like,
no.
I was like, ooh, I must be horrible. So I was like, singing's not for you. He would give you a shot though. He gave me another shot a second time, and it just wasn't for me. I'm TT.
And I, on the other hand, can sing and didn't want to do it, and it bothered him so much.
Yes, she's a beautiful voice.
But I just chose a different path. But I sing around the house to myself in the car.
Where it matters, okay? That's where it matters. The shower, the house, the bed, whatever.
Right.
So out of I know you said you met Bootsy Collins, and that was a shock seeing a man in heels with big white glasses.
Yeah.
Would you consider him one of your favorites, or do you have a favorite performer that he brought around that you really liked?
I mean, we were really raised on Parliament Funkadelic quite a bit. I mean, on top of the Soul Train Saturdays.
Yeah, funk. It was like the Parliament. We listened to a lot of like Time, Morris Day, you know, Shaka Khan. Yeah, of course, Miles. Of course, we had to listen to. There's some jazz thrown in there too, but he's always surrounded by great music and talent. So that's what our ears are tuned into.
And when I was younger, I was really into the Boys. I don't know if you remember that group. I was obsessed with the Boys. And my father got me tickets to see them every time they came to town. My poor sister had to take me most of the time because my father could only stomach it for a couple of times. But, you know, she was like really into New Edition. So he made sure we got to, you know, so whoever we were into also, he wanted to make sure that we got to, you know, experience that as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I love it. He was so cool. Like my aunt would never, okay? I used to sneak and watch TV. I didn't get to go to concerts. I've been home watching TV. What, you know, you both steered clear out of the spotlight. Why was that important for you to let him have that, you know, and just be your own person?
I don't think that was a conscious decision for us, because he kept what he did for work was separate from, you know, our Baba is what we called him. So when he was here with us, he was just Baba. So all that other stuff, it didn't mean anything.
It
so
just his job.
It wasn't glorified here. It was just what he did to support the family.
And also when we were around, you know, celebrities or musicians, it was always like, they're just like you. They're no better than you. They're no more important than you. This is just what they do as a job. So, you know, that was never, and like I said, he always pulled us in. If he did a concert, we were backstage with him or hanging out, you know what I mean? So it was literally just his job. It was not glorified as something, you know, any more important than the mailman or, you know, anything like that. So I don't think it was, just like my sister said, I don't think it was a conscious decision for any of us. It's just, he cultivated us to be the people that we are. And whatever you choose to do it well and go for it. So he never expected that of us, and I don't think we expected that of ourselves or each other either.
Okay, he seems such an awesome man. Like when I watched his videos, and I'm like, dog, he just the way that he answers questions, well thought out, but it was raw. You know, it was to whatever level you needed to be on to get that information. And there was one thing that I think I was watching the Breakfast Brothers interview, and it wasn't in the interview itself. It was in a clipping up under the interview where he said, it's okay to burn bridges so you don't have to go back across that bridge. So why was that an important factor for him?
That was Miles.
I think it was an important fact because my father, I called him like the Black Forrest Gump. Like when my father was done with something and he was ready to pursue something else, he did that wholeheartedly, you know? And so I think that whole concept of not going back, just like when you're forging a path forward, stay focused on that. You don't need to be looking behind you and worrying about what you did in the past and how you did it in the past. You need to be focusing on where you're going next.
Right.
And so, you know, it wasn't really about cutting anybody off or anything off. It's just about moving forward and always trying to take that next step and go to that next level of your life, of your career, and really paying attention to that.
Okay, now this is a weird question, because I'm pretty sure it wasn't even my dad. It was my mom dealing with the first breakup. Dude, how was that with your dad? I'm like, I ain't even get ready to tell you, okay? TT, now come on, TT.
He really was a father first. He was super protective of us, and not just his daughters, of his sons too. You know, it's like our happiness was of utmost importance to him. And so the first thing he says is, you know, you need me to do anything? You need me to step in? How do you need me you want me to stay away from it, or I can jump in and handle it for you.
Right.
But he supported us in every way possible. I can't express that enough. Like, I mean,
you literally could go to him with anything. Like, if you thought it was embarrassing, you could go to my father, and by the time you finished, he was like, you know what, that's not like, I got this, we good. So he was just an awesome dad to us. He really was.
I am so sorry for your loss. I really am, if I did not get a chance to tell you that. Now, as with me and my dad, I save his voicemails. I don't know why I do it. Some of them are super funny. Some of them he'll just keep calling back and saying the same thing. And I'm like, come on, Dad. Like, I know you got more to say than this. So is there something that you save that just brings out that good feeling about him? A memorabilia that you save specifically for you?
Honestly, every time my dad would finish on a phone call, what would he say? Me and you. And I found myself just recently saying that to people, like, just, and it's subconscious. You know, they're like, you know, my condolences. Okay. And I'm like, they're like, I'll talk to you later. I'm like, me and you. And I'm like, oh God, that's my father. So that's mine, me and you.
I think he's just so fully ingrained in who we are as people. You know, for me, it's hard to pinpoint like that one thing, especially now because it's just so fresh and it's so soon. And I'm sure I'll find that thing like my sister has somewhere down the line. But he's just in every fiber of our being and who we are as people. And, you know, I will take every lesson and every conversation, you know, with me in every aspect of my life. You know, he's touched every part of us, you know, and not just us. Like I said, it's our friends, our extended family, our cousins. You know, he's gonna live on.
Who's the village?
Yeah, he was the patriarch of the village. Hear him giving me that advice in the back of my head, and so.
And you know, and I also like to say our mother is amazing as well. Like, for her to be here, and they were together for almost 60 years. We had a great support system with the two of them. So she's amazing as well.
Role models, okay? Black love, Black excellence.
Absolutely. That's right. Absolutely.
So did y'all have a song that y'all would sing together? Even though you couldn't sing. So I was like, no.
I do remember when I was younger, my dad taught me this, how to bop. It's a dance they did way back when. So he and I would bop, you know, certain songs would come on. And he'd be like, Eve, come here, come in the room. And I go in and we just start doing our little dance. So that I remember bopping with my father thinking, oh my God, how old is this dance?
I think anything Parliament, Funkadelic, Swing Low, Sweet Chariot is definitely a staple in this house. You know, some James Brown, you know, certain songs that, you know, I think every time I hear them going for it, I'll always think of him. Because there was just certain songs that would, you know, his face, and we would always in Parliament, that's for sure.
Knee Deep, yeah.
Yeah, Knee Deep. Fly Stone was one of his favorites. And so, yeah, they're definitely going forward. There'll be songs that'll trigger those memories for sure.
Yes, definitely. And then as far as you know, you're doing interviews now, and now I know who you are. You know, how do you plan to keep his legacy going in the music industry?
I mean, I don't even know if it's up to, I'm not gonna say it's not up to us. I don't think we'll have an issue with that. I think, you know, there's been such an outpouring of love from not only his peers, but from the next generation of musicians. And, you know, I think his legacy will live on, and his inspiration will live on, and it's going to start to trickle down to the musicians of, you know, her children's. Yeah, you know, like, I think it's just the outpouring of love and support and, you know, awareness is certainly going to bring about some more inspiration for the next generation of musicians. And that's enough for me, you know.
Absolutely.
Right. Will you set up an organization for aspiring musicians, or is there something out there that they can take part of so they can share his legacy with you?
It's something we're tossing around. We'll think about it. Yeah, like I said, it's still so new. We're still trying to figure out how to push forward, you know, and it's the legacy certainly won't die, and we will keep his name and his work alive in every way possible, and that's in our power. We'll figure it out as we start to.
I'm definitely going to stay tuned. So, words of encouragement, something that he would share with you guys through the ups, through the downs, through it all. What would that be?
Get it together, you and them Mtumes.
Yeah,
you and them Mtumes.
Get it together.
Get it together. Pull yourself together. You're in them Mtumes.
Okay. Never forget who you are.
Never forget who you are.
Never forget who you are.